Tonight, the Prime Minister is looking for a new Minister of Defense. A second minister in a week is directed to go on leave. We'll tell you what led to the fall of Florencio Marin. Plus, Jules Vasquez will be on set to analyze what triggered another minister's removal from cabinet and discuss what options the PM has open to him. Also, we'll take a close look at MW Motors. That company bid for the supply of pickups to Oscar Mira's ministry. But is this shadow dealership linked to the minister? And the Brigadier General of the BDF says he is concerned about the dealings at the ministry level involving BDF supplies. Plus, a former major and PUP candidate speaks out against Mira, Marin, and Tapia. Plus, Francis Fonseca, 2 months after open heart surgery, is officially back at work and gave Jules Vasquez his first sit-down interview. We've got details of these and all the stories in our newscast for tonight, Wednesday, July 1st, 2026. Good evening. With your news, I'm Indira Craig.
This newscast is brought to you by Cellular World, your authorized Samsung distributor.
The biggest soccer season is here. Are you ready to experience the front row from home? Experience stadium level immersion with Samsung's latest technology. Perfect for every room. Your favorite Crystal UHD and QLED smart TVs are ready for you. Now at the best price. From your 32-inch personal fan zone at just $369 to the massive 85-inch home stadium experience for only $2,579. We have the perfect upgrade for every fan. Get yours with confidence at Cellular World, the authorized distributor in Belize, and receive a 1-year warranty. Visit us today and take advantage of these promotions. Valid until June 15th. Upgrade to the front row at home. Experience with Samsung and Cellular World.
Easy. Accessible. Safe. Yours. Digi Wallet. Easy, accessible, safe, yours.
Formative years, children develop cognitive skills, social skills, emotional, language, and physical skills that serves as a foundation for lifelong learning. serves as a foundation for future success.
These investments create a nurturing environment that promotes school readiness and ensures that children in Santa Cruz and surrounding communities have access to quality early childhood education in a setting that is safe, welcoming, and developmentally appropriate.
The facility features a spacious classroom area, kitchenette, child-friendly sanitary facilities, dedicated amenities for teachers, and secure storage spaces to support effective teaching and learning.
This facility is a testament to the results achieved when government, development partners, and communities work together towards a shared vision, building a brighter future for the children of Belize.
Maria's was planned to open in 2020, and that's when COVID came. I thought the dream was dead. People would come to my house, they would purchase the coffees from there. That gave me the little confidence, like, okay, I could do this. Atlantic Bank, of course, helped me take the next step. Once I had their support, it was smooth sailing from there. This business is my life. It's literally what provides my family with food and employment. I employ 3 family members, so it's really everything for us.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
One moment, everything is perfect. But life can change in an instant. When the unexpected happens, being insured with ICB changes everything. ICB is here to guide you every step of the way. Life happens fast. Protect yourself with the Insurance Corporation of Belize. For more information, call 224-5328 or 224-5329 or visit icbinsurance.com.
After a tough loss against the Belize City Defenders in Game 1 of the NEBL Finals, the Orange Walk Running Rebels is heading back home and look to tie up the series in a must-win Game 2 this Friday night at the Orange Walk Sporting Complex. Rebels Nation, get your tickets early as it will be a fully loaded, loud and ram-packed complex at 9 p.m. It's the Orange Walk Running Rebels versus the Belize City Defenders. It's Game 2 of the NEBL Finals. Cell phone, bar tabs, TVs, the NEBL girls, plus more this Friday in Orange Walk for Game 2 of the NEBL Finals. Sponsored by the Government of Belize.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Tonight, the Prime Minister and the Cabinet Secretary are searching for a new Minister of Defense. That is, after the current Minister of Defense, Florencio Marin, went on a leave of absence from Cabinet today. He is the second minister to do so in a week. Minister of Home Affairs Oscar Mira did so last week. The decision was made this morning, and sources tell us the Prime Minister took action after growing concern that the Mirror case is just the tip of the iceberg. There are affairs that numerous others, sub $10,000 payments, could link back to Marin, who served as Mirror's senior minister from 2020 to 2025 and returned to the post last November. But to hear the Prime Minister tell it was Marin's decision to take the leave while the audit at his ministry is ongoing.
All the officials who would have been involved in the payment process regarding the split payments, those people should be placed on suspension. Has that been done?
I don't know. That is something for the Auditor General to take a look. She will be making recommendations. Right now, I can deal with what I can deal. I can deal with the ministers. Marin just called me earlier before the meeting and to say, you know what, I think it's best for me to ask for a leave of absence so that the Auditor General can do its they can continue to do their auditing of the ministry. So it happened while the minister. He believes that he didn't do anything illegal, but he thinks that it would be best for the government for him to step back for the next 90 days. Then we'll get a report and then take it from there.
But where will they take it from there? And might that audit already be unearthing that there were many hundreds more suspect payments hovering under the $10,000 threshold? Jules Vasquez looked at the power matrix within the Ministry of Defense from 2020 to 2025.
Between 2020 and 2025, the leadership structure atop the Ministry of Defense was clear. Florencia Marin served as the substantive minister. Oscar Mira was the Minister of State. Dario Tapia was the CEO, and Salvador Alas managed the books as financial officer, FO. As CEO, Tapia was the official accounting officer, meaning he carried the ultimate responsibility to safeguard public funds, ensure accountability, and guarantee value for money. Reports and messages we have seen say Alas, as the financial controller, had direct knowledge of the many hundreds, possibly thousands of sub $10,000 payments. And while the blame could be left to lie with Tapia or maybe even passed on to Alas, by directing the two former ministers, Marin and Mira, to take leave, the Prime Minister clearly believes there could be some taint, some suggestion of personal culpability or direct influence. We have seen the message from one senior public officer in the Ministry of Defense saying, Minister Mira will decide. That was speaking about the supply of certain items. And with Mira, it is clear, during his time at the ministry, his family's businesses were a major supplier and service provider and received millions of dollars in payments for those services. But Mira was junior minister. They are usually just fighting for scraps. And so the question tonight is, if his family's companies had over 1,000 entries, then how many could be plausibly linked to Marin, since that mode of payment appeared to be the norm in this ministry? The PM is concerned about companies like these, Kukulkan and others, which may be connected to Marin. And based on tender documents leaked to us in 2023-2024, that Kukulkan was among the top suppliers. Based on analysis of documents, we know that Kukulkan was not the most affordable provider of vegetables. We are also looking into the ownership of those other companies who were top suppliers for BDF rations. The Prime Minister is also likely concerned about the price paid for these Altama boots for the BDF, which were bought for $100 to $200 more per unit than the best available local price, according to our sources.
As we said, the retail price of those Altama boots is a subject of concern. Those boots were made for walking through the jungle, but they may end up forcing a minister to walk right out of a cabinet post. The PM said it makes him upset.
What do you think of the information which shows that the BDF bought at least 1,500 boots at a high markup when they could have gotten a better price locally from the authorized?
It's obviously something that raises questions and makes you, it gets you upset. You know, I mean, I've not seen the entire thing. It's just what you all are revealing. So it's certainly something that I would not support.
We know that you were written a letter by one of the vendors of these boots who said he could have supplied them cheaper. You were made aware of it at the time in 2021 and 2022. Did you inquire or take any action?
When first, I really don't remember the letter because it's 2021. I mean, I get thousands. I mean, of it, but I'm not trying to deflect. But whenever something like that would happen, I would pass it on to the ministry for them to deal with. They're the ones that look after that. So. But I genuinely don't remember, seeing that letter.
Joining me now on set is our news director, Jules Vasquez, to analyze today's significant events. This is now the second cabinet minister in just 2 weeks to be placed on leave, Jules. Tell us what the trigger behind Minister Marin's being put on leave is today.
Okay, so it's very important. I've never seen this in history.
Okay.
2 successive weeks, 2 ministers placed on leave. That's Oscar Mira placed on leave, and I'm using the word advisedly, placed on leave from the Ministry of Home Affairs while they investigate the Ministry of Defense. And now the substantive Minister of Defense, Florencio Marin Jr., placed on leave. What was the trigger event? The Prime Minister said, you all saw his remarks, the Prime Minister said that the trigger event was that Marin himself chose to do it while his ministry is being audited. That I believe that is a story.
Okay.
That is a euphemism. I believe what really happened is that the Prime Minister had grave concerns. And he's concerned about further exposure.
Damage control or accountability?
I think it's a preemptive maneuver.
Okay.
Because there may also be an avalanche of screenshots relating to suppliers related to Florencio Marin Jr. when he was Minister of Defense the first time.
Right.
And that will come up in the audit, and that is already coming to us. This evening we have a tranche of screenshots from a supplier named Kukul Khan. We have a tranche of screenshots from a supplier named Kukul Khan. And that is a concern of the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister moved quickly to tell Florencio Marin Jr., this is my belief based on information, that you have to take a leave. Now, this is not a minor move made by the Prime Minister. There is no Minister of Defense. There was no one waiting in the wings.
Right.
He took the decision quickly because he's recoiling in both fear or a measure of anxiety over this, but he's also recoiling in disgust. There was a cabinet meeting yesterday. Indira, and it was rough. Multiple accounts. They told me that the Prime Minister vituperated, he scolded, he admonished, he railed up with the cabinet members. And the reason he did this is because he is facing what Dean Barrow had best verbalized as the Alibaba syndrome. The 40 thieves.
Right.
The Prime Minister is tired of having to defend and having to explain all the various schemes. We've been talking about this for years. The political enterprise surrounding these ministers. What do I mean by that? I mean that everybody have to eat. So now, he took a bold decision. The question is this a crisis of governance?
Is it?
I spoke to the Prime Minister, and he told me it's not a crisis of governance. I have 26. What is 2?
What is 3?
What is 3? right? It's not like he has 18. That's what he
Absolutely.
told me.
Right, right.
However, I agree. It is not a crisis of governance.
Right.
But it is a crisis of credibility. The government, the Briceño administration, is facing a credibility crisis because it is becoming more and more clear to the public
Right.
that the government that they elected is not operating in an optimal space. That there's a likelihood that hustling will happen all over.
Well, you did a story about Florencio Marin, that he was once there, moved because of similar concerns. Was it now, if you look at it in hindsight, a miscalculation to have just really brought him back into that space?
So, the Prime Minister should have known better. When the PUP were elected in March, he did not reassign the portfolio to Florencio Marin Jr., and he did not do that for a reason.
Right.
I believe that reason is he had concerns about sub $10,000
already
invoices under Marin's watch, because you have to remember, Mira was only Minister of State. A Minister of State only gets crumbs. So it was happening on a larger scale, right? I cannot say at this point that the government did not get value for money, but we have done an analysis, and I think we have the graphic for Kukulkan. We have done an analysis of Kukulkan, and Kukulkan was selling products at a higher price, right? So we have 3 companies that were the main suppliers. But you see those companies at the far end, they had the lowest prices, but they were supplying the least. Kukulkan and the other importation companies, they had some of the higher prices, and we're going to investigate them, but they got the largest contracts. And that makes you question, was it at the minister's directive for preferred companies, and were taxpayers and the BDF suffering?
Right.
Because you want to turn on somebody. That is the critical question, and that's what's forcing the crisis of credibility. So, to get back to the point, the Prime Minister in March of 2025, when the PUP won, he made the decision not to reassign Florencio Marin Jr. to the Ministry of Defense because he had concerns about a succession of sub $10,000 receipts. In November, when everything started to go haywire with Minister Mai, he had to make portfolio adjustments.
Right.
And Florencio Marin he was at the Ministry of Labor, Local Government, Rural Development, or Local Government and Rural Development. The Prime Minister was forced to bring him back to defense against his own best judgment because he didn't have any options after Henry Charles Usher refused to take the Ministry of Home Affairs. That threw the whole thing into flux.
Right.
Right? So he had to bring Mira, who was at Ministry of Defense, over to Home Affairs, and then he had a vacancy at Home Affairs.
You want somebody who knows what's happening in there to do the job.
I don't know what he wanted because I don't know what he expected, but what I am saying, this is the chronicle of a shuffle foretold, because he should have known. So now, that all this spotlight is coming, he knows that it will be excavated, right? He knows that if you're going to excavate Mira's sub $10,000 receipts to his family members, you're going to start finding skeletons related to Marin's tenure.
So that's the question I wanted to ask. Based on what happened in 2020 to 2025, was there an audit? Was there...
There was nothing.
Okay, there was nothing.
Nothing was known.
Okay.
And so I'm just saying, when they went in for Mira, the PM had to have a sense.
Absolutely.
Had to have some forethought
why he was moved.
That if they go looking for Mira, they're going to find Marin skeletons. And our reporting this week has been instrumental in this, because our sources have been leading us. Check pan Kukulkan. Kukulkan got a link with the minister. Check pan them boots that may overpriced. The minister know what's going on with them boots. So remember, what we have here is a situation where those boots are being bought for $100 to $200 more. I still don't know how much they paid. $100 to $200 more per unit, and we're buying 1,500 units. So that's $600,000. That's what they bought in 2021. The contractor general said, I saw no contract. So now we're seeing that the sub 10,000 payments are a direct way to avoid not only the Ministry of Finance, to avoid the contractor general to give out six-figure contracts when anything over 50,000 has to go to contractor general to use that sub 10,000 threshold to give out those large contracts. So tonight, what are the Prime Minister's options?
What are his options?
He's run out. Who will he bring in to fill the Ministry of Defense? It would be most advised to bring in someone through the Senate, someone new. Because he can't put Julius there. He just gave Julius Home Affairs.
Right.
He's run out of competent ministers. He only has about 5 or 6, and he's run out. He can't take it himself. He can't put Julius Espat there. He can't put Cordell Hyde there. He can't put Karim Musa there. He can't put Henry Charles Osha there. And the others, you know, I heard how they wanted to give it to Ramon Monchi Cervantes. Right? No, remember, defense isn't as important as home affairs. Right? Like, so you can give somebody with mid-level skills that ministry, because defense is run by a professional ministry. You are a professional army. Right? You always have the BDF,
Right.
which is led by professionals. So you can have a mid-tier minister. So they wanted to bring up, I received reports today that they wanted to bring up Ramon Monchi Cervantes, the junior minister, but again, there are concerns because he's very close to Florencio Marin Jr. So, you know, the problem is the taint is pervasive, and the Prime Minister is trying to figure out who he can bring up. And so that is what we're looking at tonight. Who will be the Minister of Defense? I don't think it will be a top-tier minister. I think it will be someone, mid-tier minister. But that we're moving to the third Minister of Defense in a little over a year is not a good sign. It's not a good sign, and I don't know if Florencio Marin Jr. will make it back to cabinet. I think the Prime Minister was incensed. The Prime Minister acted quickly and almost like he acted rashly because he was so upset. And he said it hurts. Now, I believe he knew about those boots long ago because we have shown a letter that was sent to him by respected people in 2022. Respected people sent him a letter saying exactly what's happening. He said, I see thousands of letters, I can't remember it. Well, he didn't do anything about it then. And the Prime Minister is on this point, he's caught. He said it hurts. Well, it should have hurt you in 2022 when you got a letter from two respectable persons who spoke to you about it. They said, we're going to send a letter about this. And they sent that letter. So the Prime Minister is caught and he's in a bad situation, but I hate to say it, it is of his own making.
What is the direction of the audit? Do we know? Do we have an idea of what the direction of the audit? What are they looking for? Is there any other irregularities that they're checking for? Is it just specifically what falls
You know, it's as deep as it's wide, because in order to do a proper audit at Ministry of Defense, you have to go back to Coast Guard, you have to go back to BDF, you have to go back to the stores managers, you have to cross-reference. Were there invoices for everything? You have to cross-reference, was this received? It is not a small process because it involves the stores or the supplies at BDF and Coast Guard. So,
well, that's why I'm asking, do we have an idea of what the framework of it will be?
I don't know that
is being looked for.
As they say, that is beyond my remit. I'm just digging in the dirt right now to try to get screenshots. I did at screenshot level, but I want to stress we have gotten a number of screenshots for Kukulkan. Again, the Prime Minister's office is seen paying them $100,000 for a payment, but most of the Ministry of Defense payments are on. I don't know if we have those screenshots that we can share. The Kukulkan. No. Well, what we have there is the top 4 suppliers, and those companies bear scrutiny. You can see that those companies are the top suppliers, J&J, and the other one in the middle, and Kukulkan. Those are the top suppliers.
Mount Pleasant.
Right? Well, Mount Pleasant is Mira, and that's the thing I'm saying. The Minister of State's people, they were at the lower level. Right? So these are the Kukulkan screenshots. We just got them 1 hour before news. We will be looking at them. One thing I can say, we see the same pattern with Ministry of Defense. We see sub $10,000 payments. We see a long succession of them. So we will be analyzing these, but we see a big payment to the Prime Minister's office for $100,000. You know, as you said earlier, the Prime Minister, they said they've been, or as we will see later,
Right.
the Prime Minister said they pay for grocery bags for constituency support. We want to know what constituency that was. We know that Kukulkan is a Corozal-based business, and it reportedly has links to the now former Minister of Defense, Florencia Marin. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm under the understanding that the finance officer is currently on leave. Do we know why?
Mr. Salas, the former finance
Right.
officer, Mr. Alas, sorry, Salvador Alas, that we mentioned in that story,
What's
is
his role,
on
though?
leave. He's a former FO, finance officer at the Ministry of Defense.
Okay.
And the reason he is on leave is because he's being looked at, or administrative inquiry into actions at another ministry, into his time at another ministry, I believe Ministry of Sustainable Development. So currently he's not officially under scrutiny for his time, as I understand it, at the Ministry of Defense. I'm sure in time he will be. I have seen text
Do we
messages.
have any idea of what that is about?
I don't know.
Okay, okay,
At this
just
point,
asking.
there are more unknowns than knowns, right?
Okay.
We are just.
Line.
Remember, we're on the outside.
Operate
It on leaks, yeah. But we are doing consequential work, and I don't say it self-importantly, but I'm saying that I think that the reporting on Channel 7 and those particular outfits, the boots, the Altama boots, the Kukulkan, those were triggers that prompted the departure, the enforced departure from cabinet for at least 3 months of Lawrence Marin Jr. Let's see if he comes back.
Where does this story go from here, Jules?
You know, Indira, we're...
What should Belizeans be watching for in the days ahead?
It's totally unpredictable. You know, as I said, it's as deep as it is wide. And we have to continue looking. We have to continue seeing what will be leaked to us.
Right.
We hope to continue to get leaks. I know tonight you'll be reporting on the MW car dealership. And, you know, it's just that, you know, Indira, this is what happened. PUP were out of office for 13 years. And they came back with a hunger, right? They came back hungry to turn on, let me use the kind word, to turn on their friends and families. In Creole, they say, time for eat, right? Time for everybody eat. And that's what they came back with. And in the most advanced language, you would say, they came in to enrich. Now was value for taxpayer dollars received. We are seeing a trend where higher prices were being paid to these favored providers, and that's where the issue is. The sub 10,000 is certainly a red flag, and that red flag, the Prime Minister, the FinSec have admitted something is wrong. However, that practice may have been widespread. But if we can show the chart, we can see that favored suppliers like Kukulkan, we can see that the people who sold them the boots were selling at above average prices. So taxpayers lost value. The BDF suffered because of this.
In hindsight, if the Prime Minister had moved more decisively in regards to Mira, would all of this have even
Well, this is the
come to
interesting
pass?
thing.
Because it seems like a breadcrumb that led to here.
Yeah, I think the Prime Minister really likes Mira. Mira was obviously empowered by somebody at his back. For a Minister of State to have such relative largesse, somebody had to have his back. I believe, just instinctually, that it is the Cabinet Secretary. I believe that somebody had to have his back. But he moved light against Mira, and so today he couldn't move more strongly against Marin. I believe that he wanted to move more strongly against Marin because he was very upset with what manifested with the sub $10,000 payments after March, what the PM became aware of, or those in the PM's camp. And I think that if he hadn't taken a half measure against Mira last week, he would have gone all the way today with Marin and ousted him permanently from cabinet. The Prime Minister's words to me, this is not a crisis, I have 26.
And he does.
I could lose 2. I have 26, I could lose 3.
Jules, thank you for your insight, your perspective in what I'll call this developing story.
Very much so.
Continues to evolve in the next few weeks, and Jules will also be having a look into another Mira-related company, and that's MW Motors Imports, and to find out what we know at this moment.
MW Motor Imports, We are reliably informed that this company also has a family connection to former Minister Oscar Mira and that the initials suggest the owner's last names. In fact, 7 News has obtained a copy of an email where Oscar's brother Keith Mira's name appears as the sales rep. And that person is responding to an inquiry saying they have a large inventory of Toyota, Mitsubishi, and Nissan. But where? The business lists no address, gives no phone number. It just offers a plain Facebook page and an email address, and none of the car dealers we spoke to have heard of or seen this large inventory of Toyota, Mitsubishi, and Nissan. In 2026, the Ministry of Home Affairs published this notice for the supply of 12 pickups. It was published in February, right when the fiscal year was winding down. But highly placed sources tell us that the original plan was to purchase it from a recommended supplier. Would that recommendation have been for MW Motor Imports, which we are told plan to supply Nissan Navara pickups? It's a $1 million acquisition, and wiser voices insisted that it had to go to tender and to the contractor general, which it did. Those tenders were opened up on March 5th, 2026, and they show that MW Motors did submit a bid for $1.1 million, one of 9 bids. The company's rep was not present at the opening, so they did not sign it. Turns out the tender documents were defective and the process was scrapped, so no one won the bid and the fiscal year elapsed. So the vehicles were not purchased, at least not yet.
And while we have not seen any screenshots for MW Motors, we have seen dozens for the Stanley Mira-owned MP Farms, which was a heavy supplier to the Ministry of Defense. But from August 14, 2025 to May 3, 2026, it also supplied the Prime Minister's office, but never for under $10,000. The Cabinet Secretary told us these payments were for social support grocery bags paid for by the PM's office for the Belmopan constituency. Each constituency is given a budget for that support, and Mira asked for his amount to go to his family's MP Farms, which provided. Today, the Prime Minister said this is a matter for the Cabinet Secretary.
Have you heard about the pantry bags purchased from MP Farms out of your ministry?
Well, I think that the minute Mr. Vasquez called the Federal Cabinet Secretary and has answered that question properly. I'm basically saying that they have a budget to be able to provide the pantry bag, and once they bring the receipts, we pay, and that's simply what happened.
The last time you were asked about other ministries being investigated, you deflected. That's what the NTUCB is asking for, and given the leaks of these smart stream records, it warrants investigations into other ministries.
Well, I think, listen, we have a lot of work. I'm not trying to deflect. I'm just trying to say to deal with what we have. We have this right now in front of us. We're going to deal with it. And as I said to Cabinet from last week and this week I repeated, we don't only have to do the things right, we also have to appear to do the things right. I mean, for instance, what I've been told when it comes to the mirrors, if it gives the impression as if they were only getting money and they were not delivering goods, but the goods were delivered. But it really leads into question when you're just giving it to one person. So that's the point I was making, that you can't only do things right, you also have to appear to be doing things right.
And there's more Mira fallout at Recondev, where Oscar's brother Brian is the chairman of the board. Since then, there had been footage circulating of a meeting occurring with some of those members from Recondev. And when we asked Prime Minister about it today, he claims he knew nothing of a meeting.
I hope that we can name a new Recondev board by the end of this week.
So there was footage that was released of a meeting that took place at the Ministry of Human Development.
Oh, that night?
Yes. Where you had CEO Shal and including Mira.
Everybody saw that footage, but I didn't know I was supposed to ask what the meeting was about. So no, I did not check. They met, and I don't know why.
Because so if he is not a cabinet minister anymore, so it raises some questions.
why he's still a member of the National Assembly, he's still a member of our government, so he can meet anybody in the government.
There were people involved from the current Recondev board.
I really, honestly don't know.
And this entire Mira and now Marin mess started with Oscar Mira making a cyberbullying complaint against Alberto August. The police department acted immediately on the complaint made by its minister and detained August for more than a day before charging him. The avalanche of exposure against Mira that then ensued is now a matter of public record. For the new Minister of Home Affairs on board, his first directive was to hand over the Alberto August cyberbullying case to the DPP for independent review. And she, of course, rubbished what was widely regarded as a frivolous charge. The PM says he supports that decision and then went on to discuss the cyberbullying law in depth.
The new Minister of Home Affairs immediately directed that the cyberbullying charge be sent to the DPP for review, and she told police to discontinue with the charges and return the cell phones. What do you think of this?
I support that. And I've said it over and over that, okay, let's start with the cyberbullying law. It's a cyberbullying law that was passed by the previous government, and it provides for the action that's been taken place. I asked the Attorney General to take a look at it, and he thinks that it is unconstitutional. So quite likely, hopefully, at the next House meeting, we'll have to make some amendments to that. So let's start with that. Secondly, I did ask the Minister to have the DPP to take a look at it to see if there's a case or not. She decided that there's not a case. Thirdly, I'd like to make it very clear that we need to be careful as politicians that I don't think that the public have a problem if a politician were to sue anybody because they believe that they have been aggrieved or they've been slandered. But I think the public would have a problem when they would feel that the minister is using the state to go after its enemies. No, I am not in any way suggesting that that's what Honorable Miras was doing. I don't think he was doing that. I think the police really felt that there was a case. But I just feel strongly that we should not go down that road, because once you go down that road, then others can take abuse of it, and we should not allow that.
Notably, on June 3rd, the PM told us, quote, Oscar Mira has every right to be able to make a report against him under the cyberbullying law. But shouldn't the police, under the direction of the commissioner, have sent the file over to the DPP in the first place? The PM says he's unable to say whether Compal Rosado misdirected the case.
Do you feel that the Commissioner of Police directed the Cybercrime Unit to act wrongly in proceeding with the charge without independent?
Well, I don't know first of all, I don't know if he's the one, if he directed them. One. Secondly, I don't know if he directed them wrongly. So that's as best as I could answer that question.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, the Brigadier General of the BDF tells us why he's concerned about what's been going on at the Ministry of Defense.
Please, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
biggest football event in the world is finally here, and Smart is giving you the chance to play and win. Before every match starts, predict who will win. The more predictions you make, the more chances you have to win. Get 1 point towards your total when you guess the winning team. Predict the exact score and earn up to 4 points. The top scorer at the conclusion of the World Cup wins the grand prize of $2,500 in cash. That's not all. Players get a chance to win weekly prizes. Plus, our quarter-final winner gets a watch party package. Play directly in the Smart app for just 50 cents per entry. Prediction starts June 1st to July 18, 2026. Don't just watch the World Cup. Play along and win with Smart. Smart, bringing people together.
Here's how to access your contribution history on the My Social Security portal. First, go to your browser and type ssbportal.org.bz. Enter your email and password, then click Log In. Once logged in, you'll see your full portal account on the screen. On the left-hand side, you'll notice a drop-down menu for added features. Click on History, choose Contributions, read the disclaimer, then click Continue. You'll now see a full window displaying your contribution history. In the table, each row represents a different year. For example, let's look at the year 2024. Click on the row and a detailed breakdown will appear. This breakdown includes your employer's name, your earnings for each month and week, contribution type, the amounts paid, and that's how you can explore the new contribution feature on the My Social Security portal. It's quick, easy, and keeps your Social Security information right at your fingertips. Create your account today.
The Isabel Palma Polyclinic 2, located in San Antonio, Toledo, conducts outreach visits to some of the most remote communities in southern Belize at least twice a month.
Here in the Dolores Village, it's approximately 3 hours from San Antonio. As you all can see, it's a remote area. There's basically no electricity, no telecommunication services. Since it's very difficult for the people to reach to the clinic, we've decided to bring the clinic out here and provide different services. For example, today we are with the maternal child health. We also have a booth out here giving health educations and some games. We also have 3 doctors with us today doing general medical checkup. We have our nurses doing our triage. We also have pharmacy with us and also a lab. All that is being done here today is being covered by the Isabel Palma Smart Polyclinic 2 San Antonio NHI clinic.
I've always been fascinated with gemstones. It's all about taking nature's beauty and creating something uniquely beautiful. I've had inspiration from the Belize Blue Bull, the beaches, the jaguar. I've launched a new product called Co-Design with Deb, and Atlantic Bank's e-commerce system has opened the door to my international customers so I can receive payments so they can have their custom pieces shipped to them.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
They're not just cigarette, vape, hookah, cigar, and all kind of tobacco product, Lego, dangerous smoke, and toxic chemical. When you smoke or vape, that cloud they not disappear. It turns into second-hand smoke and third-hand smoke where people wrong your breathing. That kind of smoke that could cause cancer, diabetes, lungs disease, or heart problems. It could kill anybody who get exposed to it. If you smoke or vape, go outside, far from people. Everybody deserves to breathe clean air.
The roads of Belize connect us all. Riders, drivers, families, friends. Every day begins with a little routine and the confidence that life's journeys are protected. From school drop-off through the daily grind and everything in between, each with different roads ahead, yet one common goal: to arrive safely. Atlantic Insurance stands with Belize's riders and motorists with affordable protection, support, and peace of mind for the journey ahead. For the roads we share and the lives we protect, Atlantic Insurance is by your side, insuring you from life's unexpected. Atlantic Insurance, insuring you from life's unexpected.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
The Belize Defense Force has launched an internal investigation after a female soldier reported she was raped by another soldier at Fairweather Camp in Toledo between Sunday night and Monday morning. Commander Brigadier General Anthony Velasquez said the alleged victim was assisted to make a police report, then flown to Price Barracks for counseling after weather delayed the flight, and has since received medical care and psychological support. The accused soldier has been placed under open arrest at Fairweather Camp while police and the BDF conduct separate investigations.
Internally, the BDF is launching its own investigation, and we will determine internally the matter, how it happened, what caused it to happen, and why did it happen.
Are you all in a position to disclose whether or not it was an officer or a soldier who committed it?
It was a soldier who is the alleged perpetrator.
Has that person been put on leave?
The perpetrator is right now in what we call open arrest at Fairweather Camp, meaning he cannot leave Fairweather Camp until further notice.
We know that a previous alleged rape and sexual assault case was linked to the suicide of a female soldier. Can you address this?
Yes. Well, this is a very serious matter. It's a wicked problem that really has very limited solution. It cannot be solved 100%. So that's why we call it a wicked problem. So it's a problem that's persistent. It will always be there. What we have done over the past years, and we learned from all these incidents that you alluded to. We have strengthened our policies. We have strengthened our policies, the way how we deal with these matters, right? And we have educated our soldiers about sexual assault and everything, and proper etiquette within the workplace. To the best of my knowledge, these incidents have reduced since that grave one that you mentioned. However, they will never go away. So we have to constantly be on the lookout and on guard. So these incidents, like I mentioned, they can be triggered by different things. But when large numbers of young people, soldiers, sailors, or police, I guess, work in confined spaces together, if you add other things like alcohol or whatever in there, these incidents are likely to occur. If not if not managed properly. And even though we have all the protocols in place and procedures, the incidents still occur from time to time.
And when it comes to the smart stream screenshots suggesting insider enrichment at the Ministry of Defense, the Brigadier General said he did not know where their rations were being sourced, but when he found out about it, he was very disappointed in the way it was being procured.
Okay, first of all, I don't know where the goods come from, right? I know that we receive vegetables and food for the Belize Defense Force. And my concern, and my chief concern as Commander Belize Defense Force, is that our soldiers receive the proper food for their nutrition, okay? So as long as we do not receive rotting vegetables, for example, or substandard food or vegetables, then I am happy, okay? And the procuring process occurs at the ministry level, okay? So I don't know where they come from, but my key and only concern is that we receive the proper and the best food for our soldiers.
Were you somewhat concerned or disappointed when you saw all the releases?
Yes, it's definitely any citizen of this country would be concerned. However, my primary concern as Commander of Belize Defense Force is the morale and the welfare of my soldiers, of our soldiers. And based on that, I will ensure that they receive the proper food and nutrition that they deserve.
And have you had cases recently, or since you've taken over to know, where you've noticed that goods have arrived that were substandard?
Not to any huge extent. Not to any huge extent, no.
Do you believe that all the information that's been recently released that has affected the morale of the soldiers?
I like I mentioned before, as a citizen of Belize, yes, it is concerning. To the extent of affecting the morale of the soldiers, I would believe that the same thing that as a citizen of Belize, it's concerning.
And a retired BDF major is speaking up more plainly. Former PUP candidate and retired Major Lloyd Jones today posted the following: I am deeply pained by the abject failure of former military officers to effectively lead the MOD. For the first time in the history of the BDF, we had 3 former military officers and graduates of the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst occupying the top 3 positions in the MOD: Minister Marin, Minister of State Mira, and CEO Tapia. I was beyond elated at this, and I applauded the PM for those appointments. What a wasted opportunity. The revelations coming out of the MOD is especially painful, particularly because these former military officers know firsthand the neglect that the BDF has suffered since 1990, when Belizeans took command from the British. I am hurting for the serving members of the BDF who must endure living on military camps that are in deplorable conditions, whose rations have been curtailed, who are ill-equipped, and who must feel absolutely demoralized at this time. And in other news today, the Minister of Education, Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade and Culture, Francis Fonseca, returned to work just under 2 months after doing triple bypass cardiac surgery. That's an early return because typically open heart surgery requires a 3-month recovery. But Fonseca sat down with Jules Vasquez this morning to say he's feeling good and has a new lease on life, but one informed by the very grueling experience of open heart surgery. He told us about lessons learned.
I'm feeling good, Jules. You know, I'm very, very grateful for be feeling this well. 8 weeks after my surgery, major surgery. You know, recovery period. Generally, they say you start to feel, you know, kind of normal around 3 months. So I feel like I'm ahead of schedule. I feel really good. You know, I'm full of energy, and that's why I really returned to work effective today.
So you're fully taking back up your core ministries, which is education, culture, foreign affairs, foreign trade.
Yes, 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 I am. Obviously, I understand that I have to pace myself and, do things a little differently. Um, I think one of the critical lessons you learn from going through this experience is that, that your lifestyle is critically important. And I think certainly over the last 5 years, as a cabinet minister with major responsibilities, I found myself spending a lot of time being sedentary. You get up, you get in your vehicle, you drive to Belmopan, you get to Belmopan, you're in an office, you have meetings all day. When that day is done, you jump back into the vehicle, you get home, you're tired, you just want to relax, sit down. So it's easy to fall into that trap. And I think that's one of the critical lessons you have to, for all of us, that, that sedentary lifestyle can really be a killer. So it's important to be active, important to move throughout the day, to make sure that you find a proper balance, and you don't get caught up in that world of just work and sitting down and focused on that aspect of your life. So that's a critical lesson.
Fonseca's issues didn't start the day he had surgery. They started long before, when he began feeling a burning sensation to his left shoulder. But he thought it was gas. It never occurred to him that he might be having a partial blockage of one of the main arteries to his heart. He told us what he was experiencing.
And then I would say around the end of January, I started feeling, some discomfort on the left side of my chest. No pain. It wasn't pain. It was what I described to the doctors as a sort of burning sensation. So, I kind of ignored it, as, we often do, for a few weeks. And then when I was traveling, walking through the airport one day, it really intensified and really got to the point where I had to stop. And I said, when I get back to Belize, I really have to check this out. And so when I came back, I went to the doctor. I first went to Dr. Mark Musa. I said, this is probably, like gas or something. He examined me, he looked at me. I took some tests, showed nothing really initially. So he gave me some medication. I took that for maybe 2 weeks, but the discomfort didn't go away. So I said, no, I have to go back. I went back to him, and that's when he recommended that I see Dr. Jeff Lin, who's a Taiwanese doctor, cardiologist. So I went to see Dr. Lin, and he did a number of tests with me, stress tests and other things. And he said, listen, he wasn't satisfied with the tests. He said, listen, we need to do some more detailed tests. And that's when he brought in Dr. Adrian Coy into the picture, who's a cardiac surgeon. And that's where those tests revealed that I had significant 60% blockage in one of my main arteries leading to the heart. And that was obviously very alarming. But I also had two other arteries that were had less blockage, 20%, 30% blockage. That could have been treated through medication.
But medication would not have addressed Fonseca's 60% blockage. Tomorrow you'll hear why he chose to do such a complex surgery at the KHMH. But tonight you'll hear his answer to our question. Was he scared that he could have died on that operating table?
What was your greatest fear? Did you fear death? We know that it's a very difficult surgery. They basically have to take your heart offline.
Yeah, and lungs. Yeah,
and lungs.
Yeah. No, absolutely. When you're faced with a major surgery of this nature, you face that. Yeah, you come to face with that possibility. So I knew that there were risks. The doctors were always saying to me, "Listen, this bypass surgery is a low risk surgery. You know, it's the most common surgery in the world today, but there are risks." They felt that because of my age, I was in a good position. Because of my heart was strong. Nothing is wrong with my heart. They're just these arteries that flow to the heart. The heart is strong. The heart is doing well. So they felt that it was very low risk. But yes, you are faced with that. I was, for the first time in your life, imagine, you live 50 plus years, and the first time in your life, your heart will be shut down completely. Your lungs will be shut down, and you're put on a machine where a medical technician is keeping you alive, running this heart and lung machine. So I certainly wasn't looking forward to that. I was concerned about that, and of course they have to then revive you after the surgery, and that's where they always say there's the greatest risk when they kind of waking you up back.
Right.
How do you respond? How does your body respond? How does your heart start beating again normally? That's where a lot of people have heart attacks, strokes during that period. So I was concerned about that.
And while he was not tuned in to the news during his convalescence, he didn't quite go Rip Van Winkle. Fonseca had heard about the thousands of sub-$10,000 payments that were being made at the Ministry of Defense. We asked him whether or not he ever practiced anything like that. He said that it is not the minister's place to get involved in his finance officer's practices.
Learned a long time ago to stay away from the finance officer in the ministries. As you know, the CEOs are the accounting officers for the ministries. So as the minister, my job is policy. My job is not to interfere in contracts and to interfere with the finance officer. The only time we meet really is when budget time, when they say, listen, we need you to go to cabinet and fight for our budget, and these are the priorities. So, I'm not engaged, as you said. I'm aware of these thresholds. Yes, I know that there's some level of abuse that takes place in the public service with these thresholds. But there, I think, listen, I certainly support the actions that have been taken so far, placing these substantive ministers on leave, and then ensuring that a proper audit is done, and that's important. We have to make sure that the audit is done properly, that it's a comprehensive audit, and wherever that leads, we have to allow it to lead, to go, wherever that leads coming out of this. So I support those actions. I think those are the appropriate actions at this stage. As more information becomes available, there may be need for further action.
And in news that is related to foreign affairs, the government has officially signed modifications to the Belize Compact, a U.S. $125 million grant agreement with the U.S. under its Millennium Challenge Corporation, making it one of the largest grants in Belize's history. This grant will be allocated towards significant investments in education and long-term energy support. But getting to this point required a lot of adjustments since the terms of the grant changed after Donald Trump was elected. The energy component has been significantly reshaped to have less emphasis on renewable energy. The Prime Minister gave us more details on the signing today.
I don't think it's been really a long process because when they called us in December of 2021, informing us that Belize has been chosen to be a recipient to sign a compact with MCC. Usually it's a very, very lengthy process. So when they met with us and said, well, let's come up with a list of things where we believe that Belize's priority is and then start to narrow it, we said, listen, we know the two priorities that we had. One was education and the second one was energy. I'm happy that they quickly agreed on that, and so that's what we've been working on. It's been a long process in the sense that we've been a lot of consultations, especially when it comes to education, with the teachers, with the Ministry of Finance, and likewise with energy, trying to address the challenges that we're facing with energy. In a way, we've been a victim of our own success. Our economy has grown way far faster than it was expected, so we are already consuming what was projected for, I think, for 2028 and probably 2029. So I think it was a wise decision to hone into those two areas.
So in terms of what those projects will be looking like in the coming months, the PM says one of the main things they hope to tackle soon is replacing the submarine line that connects San Pedro to the mainland. It's a project endlessly delayed and literally tied up at the bottom of the sea. He says it is now a major priority to them.
What we look at is then to move some of the finances that we're going to use with more inclusion and also the digital devices because they wanted to shift more monies into energy because they felt that, again, for us to be able to have a thriving economy, we have to keep up with the energy and not only reliable, but trying to find ways on how we could start to bring down the cost of energy. And that's what we're working along with them, with the World Bank, where we're doing a project for batteries. I think it's about 30 megawatts of batteries, looking at solar will be coming online pretty soon in the next year, 2 years at most. We're going to be having a amount of solar. We know that also the submarine line that connects the mainland to San Pedro has passed its time. It should have been done from before it got into government. It should have been replaced, and it wasn't. And also now through the compact, we're getting some funding to be able to help before it. Government will still have to put a significant portion of monies to be able to get that done.
But while negotiating the revamped MCC agreement with the Americans has been difficult, settling the issue of the Cuban Medical Brigade is far more complex. Belize has been trying to hold on to them, but the Americans insist that they've got to be sent back because they call it forced labor. We asked Fonseca about it.
I think back in March, or it may have been April, the cabinet considered this very important matter. And what the cabinet directed and instructed was that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Health and Wellness work together over a period of 6 months. So we're like 3 or 4 months into that 6-month period to come up with options that could then be taken back to the cabinet for a final decision on how we move forward with the program. Now, obviously, one of the options is winding up the program. So, winding up the program, can we establish some permanent residence program that the Cubans would be comfortable with, satisfied with, the Americans as well. Could we work out, individual contracts? So that's the work that really started and has been ongoing, to devise this plan with a number of options that will then be presented to cabinet. So I think what the charge was saying was that, because in their briefings with us, we have shared with them that plan. That is one of the options, and that's what they support. They support winding up the program, and if we decide to go in that direction, they obviously would want us to do so. So that is one of the options on the menu, on the table.
You project that there is some room to work around this issue, but really with the Americans, there's no wiggle room. Once you are listed for 2 successive years as having forced labor, as they call it, Cuban medical doctors, and we have already been listed once, and at the end of this year, if we still have it, we will be listed twice. They cut you off. You lose out support, the MCC grant gone, etc. So we can talk around the issue, but the fact is, for the Americans, it's a binary situation. At the end of December, they will ask yes or no. If the answer is yes, we still have, they will cut us off.
That may be the case. That may be the case, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet, and that's certainly not the message that we have gotten from them. As you know, one of my last trips, before my surgery, Prime Minister Briceño and I were in Washington, where we had an opportunity to meet, with the Deputy Secretary of State, Secretary Landau, who is responsible for the Western Hemisphere. And we, discussed this issue as well, very briefly. But again, I think they are prepared, they're working with Cuba. They're prepared to, as well, to work with us. So yes, there, as you rightly point out, they want the program ended. But I still think there are opportunities for us to find some reasonable, responsible middle ground.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll show you the unveiling of the September celebrations theme. It will make you feel like it's 2010 all over again. Don't go away.
Please, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
In Dolores, there's no electricity or phone service, and the nearest satellite clinic is still more than an hour away. For many residents, access to healthcare is rare. Some women have even given birth in transit while trying to reach the closest facility. That's why the arrival of the Isabel Palma Polyclinic 2 team is so important.
In our village, we don't have no transportation. So we have to pay someone to take us. If there is no service today, some of our patients, they have to go in PG or in San Antonio. We just come to see some doctors. We thank them for their precious time they give us today. And we don't have to pay any cost.
These vital outreach missions are made possible through Belize's National Health Insurance, NHI program.
The next station is not just a place, it's the vacation capital of the world, the Mexican Caribbean. Do you know why we are the capital of vacations? Because no other place on Earth brings together so many ways to vacation in one single destination. From rest to adventure. From nature to culture. From luxury to freedom. Every vacation imaginable, except snow, and we plan to keep it that way. Mexican Caribbean, the vacation capital.
Nando's Wholesale is the distributor for the full line of Badia spices, including the original complete seasoning, the perfect combination of ingredients and spices prepared to enhance the natural flavor of your favorite foods. Also, cinnamon powder for all your desserts, fruits, and beverages, and as special dishes. All these are available in commercial sizes or restaurant packaging. Nando's products are available at your local retailer or contact us at 222-5000. From Corozal to Toledo, Nando's is proud to be serving Belize as its #1 wholesale distributor for over 35 years.
Welcome to the V Department Store. We are conveniently located on Coney Drive in Belize City. That's right on Coney Drive in Belize City. At the V Department Store, we offer a wide variety of groceries, cosmetics, kitchen appliances, kitchenware, electronics, and more. We've also recently expanded to the second floor to better meet your household and office furniture needs. We now have a wide variety of furniture, home decor, and accessories. We have a shared vision for a comfortable and customer-friendly shopping experience. Visit us today and be warmly greeted by our reasonable prices and cordial staff. The V Department Store. Experience the ultimate shopping destination.
People don't travel with cash anymore. People would stop and they want to do a coffee tour, they want to buy coffee, but people don't have cash with them. Online banking facilitated a lot of what we do. I don't have to run to town and I have to use fuel and other expenses. Atlantic Bank actually approached us. They facilitated us with a bank account, which is something that we didn't have in hand, and then with a POS machine. I sit and sip my good cup of coffee and do payments.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Wake up to positivity and inspiration. It's a fresh and diverse twist on your mornings. Tune in to Sun Up on 7 every weekday morning at 6:30 a.m. right here on your nation station, Channel 7. It's the morning show you don't want to miss.
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
As our country prepares to celebrate Belize on its 45th anniversary of independence, the September Celebrations Committee unveiled this year's theme. The winner is an 18-year-old student, and today we got the chance to ask her what inspired her submission. Jo Marie Lanza was at the event.
We all have a bit of Belize in us, but this year's September Celebrations theme delves a bit deeper into that aspect of self-identity. Look at me, I am Belize at 45. The National Celebrations Committee says they received an overwhelming number of submissions this year, from all ages, but this year's selection is special.
There is a subcommittee and we go through a shortlist process and then it's brought back to the commission. And this one that was selected was among the 3 that were shortlisted. And you know, it just leapt out at us because I think everybody will notice that it is a little bit different, right? We're used to the theme sounding a little bit different. But this one really resonated, as I said, upstairs, because it really allows us to reflect on self. Yes, we always talk about collectively we are Belize, but this one is inviting you to think of your own Belizean identity. And I think that in its own way is something really special.
The winner of this year's theme competition is 18-year-old SJC Junior College student Amber Mariano, a first-time participant. We asked her where she drew her inspo from when she came up with this year's theme.
My inspiration was for sure the Belizean people. As a country with more ethnic groups than I can possibly think from other countries, I wanted to make a theme where Belizeans would be proud of who they are. You cannot describe Belize with one word or with one ethnic group, so I wanted to make a theme where Belizeans can be proud of who they are. I've heard the song before, but I wasn't thinking about the song when I made this theme.
So when you found out that you won, how did you feel?
I was definitely shocked. This is my first time winning a competition, so I felt a whole lot of nerves. I'm still shocked, but I'm grateful that I won.
I am Belize, you are Belize, he is Belize, she is Belize, we're all Belize.
But the sentence, I am Belize, does bring about a bit of nostalgia, taking us back to 2010 when Tanya Carter and Bernd Vasquez first collaborated to produce the iconic I Am Belize song as part of a project with Restore Belize. According to Kim Vasquez, a member of the National Celebrations Committee, this year's theme has an entirely different interpretation.
There's been several things like that. Yes, I am Belize, but this one is saying, look at me. Look at me, I am Belize at 45. So it doesn't really speak to that song. I don't think that the person took that. Our understanding from her is that she didn't really take that inspiration from anywhere, but from a genuine desire to come up with a theme that would invite us to see ourselves as individual reflected in the message.
Jo Marie Lanza, 7 News.
All 6 districts are participating in the male category of the high school Super Nationals volleyball games, while only 5 districts, except Corozal, will be playing in the female category. Today was day 2 of intense volleyball games between student athletes from across the country, and the men's match was quite something to see this morning. We met with the Deputy Director for the National Sports Council, Kaya Katus, at Swift Hall for an update on the Super Nationals tournament. She says the games are definitely worth seeing.
These volleyball games have been very, very competitive. The level that we're seeing here from these high school students have surpassed what we've seen in previous years. Volleyball programs in these various districts has really stepped up over the years, and we're seeing the product of that at this event. So in the mornings we have the males play, and simply because the level or the height of the net is a bit higher, and then in the afternoons we lower the net at the female height and the females play. Usually in the afternoons is when we get the crowds. More people or the female games tend to have more support from the volleyball community. and the parents and friends, fans of the female athletes, tend to get more support in this sport. But it is very important for people to come out and look at these games. We definitely get to see the level of the athletes, how they have grown over the years, and we're definitely looking at some of our national team athletes participating here in this event. Yesterday, almost all the games played went to 3 sets. Very competitive games. In the male category, we're definitely seeing the Cayo district, the Belize district. Toledo is doing very well. Orange Walk is doing very well. Stan Creek is right up there. It's very hard to say, who has the edge right now. And in the male category, this game that we're now watching between Cayo and Stan Creek, as you can see, is very competitive as well. And all these districts are up there, and I think it will come right down to the wire to see who will be the champions.
And that's all we have for you for our newscast tonight. Thanks for watching. With your news, I'm Indra Craig. Remember, you can find a full transcript of the news at 7newsbelize.com and see the streaming video on our Facebook page. Have a great evening. Join me back here tomorrow at 6.